Oos, Warriors, welcome back to the channel. How are you all doing? Dude, this is our weekly discipline check-in. Wow, my hair looks kind of crazy. Um, uh, Reporting this weekend, what do we got? What do we got? I just came back from vacation. I feel very, very refreshed in the sense that I'm ready to get right back to work. And yeah, this is it feels good to be home. I was in Turks and Caicos for a week, and I took my family there. The thing about it is, when I go on vacation, I eat terribly, and I think that's where a lot of my energy went to. Hey, what's going on? Thanks for checking in. Uh, and I always talk about semen retention being the boundless energy generator. You're getting so much energy from it, and I felt that way. It's just that sometimes I would also feel kind of really tired, and that has definitely had to do with my diet. Um, and in I don't know if you have been to Turks and Caicos. It's like a let's say a it's an island that is a British former British colony. Now it's a British territory, right? And everything is imported there, almost all the food. The only thing you can get there fresh is conch, which is like these shells, so these gigantic pointy shells with the thing inside, and grouper, which was delicious. Grouper's been very, very good. Yeah, for those of you that haven't been there, it's very easy to get there from Washington D.C. They have direct flights. The only problem is once you get there, everything is super expensive. They don't tell you that. Like they've done such a good job at marketing the island. They're like, oh, everybody should come here. It's beautiful beaches and blue water and all this stuff like that. But when you get there, things are pretty expensive, and it's because everything is imported. There's no income tax there, so what happens is all of their taxes come from import customs and duties, right? For anything they bring to the island, cars, food, everything. Pretty much everything's imported, as I said, except for the lobster, the grouper, and the conch. And so, like, for example, going into a grocery store, I make most of my own meals. At home, I cook pretty much every meal. My family and I, we divvy up some of the responsibilities, and it's delicious, and I feel like I have tons of energy every time I eat. But on an island like this and on vacation, you tend to not eat very well. Like eating fried food all the time, fries, fried fish, lots of bread, and it just makes me feel really slow. And that's a person who is very disciplined with the diet, particularly when I'm on for competition. Right, my diet is very, very clean, and I feel like my energy is magnified 10 times. So that's where stacking the different good habits that you get from discipline and being on team retention, that really magnifies the benefits that you feel. And for me, eating right, eating clean, not eating a lot of sugar, not eating a lot of simple carbohydrates like white bread and things like that, that tends to really slow me down. I feel like I get even more energy, and again, being on vacation or taking a short break, you tend not to eat that well, and so I definitely felt that in the amount of energy that I had. and But I'm glad to be back. And already I'm like on my meals. I got my egg whites, my oatmeal, my Ezekiel bread in the morning, and I'm feeling like I miss it so much. And that's the one beautiful thing about taking a break from your daily regimen, your daily habits, is that once you get back into it, hopefully it feels good. For me, it feels good. Like you think it feels good to just eat whatever you want and be undisciplined in there, but really, like by the first day after I've already had that fried food that I normally don't eat, oh, I just felt so like what you call it, lethargic, in the sense that I didn't want to do anything. I wasn't sleepy. I just didn't want to do anything. And that I don't ever like feeling like that. Got a question here. Feel like, I feel what you're saying. I still need advice on how to retain my seed. I've been still finding myself in, yep. Maybe I'm not trying hard enough. Well, I'm glad that you're joining the channel, and we're all here to help each other out. Like that's the number one thing. Help each other out with the things that we're trying to work towards. And I would say that you know corn. Let's just we have to give it. We don't want to get banned by YouTube, right? But you pay. It's free, but you pay with something, and it's normally your soul. And you don't feel good. And I think a lot of we're just talking about the idea of depression, and I'm not saying that if that those feelings aren't real. You can feel depressed, but I think the overall idea of depression, comes from the things that you do, perhaps the habits that you undertake, and maybe that divine light inside of you making you feel a certain way because it knows that this is not the way you want to live your life. That's at least how I feel. Okay, I'm not speaking for everybody, but you know, and I say that because it's important to figure out your why when it comes to things you want to give up. And if corn is something you feel like you want to give up, then that's something inside of you telling you that. You have to understand why you're feeling that way. Like, why do you want to give it up? Is it because you're spending a lot of your time doing it? Do you feel tired? Do you feel like you're not going in where you want to go in the direction of your life? And I'm not saying that quitting those things will automatically change those things for you, but I can tell you one thing is that you'll have a lot more time and your focus will be different, right? Instead of seeking immediate pleasure, you may be seeking things that require, long periods of time, projects to complete so that you can feel that pleasure when they're completed. There's a wonderful feeling you get of achievement, and achievement takes time. Nothing happens immediately. Although that we live in the world where, in social media, you want it like right then and there, right? Like anything that I want at my fingertips. If I want to eat something, I can go get it right away, get it door dashed. If I want something, um, some new fangled toy, something you wanted to always buy, you can just go to Amazon and be here probably in a couple hours. And that's the world that we live in. And so it's hard to get away from that idea that things take time. And so therefore, brother, if you want to get off corn first, don't feel bad about not succeeding the first time, but you know that there's a feeling inside of you that is driving you to want to give it up. And therefore, explore that, figure out what that is for you. Why is it that you feel this way? And that will be your why. And that will be much easier to fight the temptation to do things, to do that thing you don't want to do, and feeling the way that you feel after you've done it. Instead, if you have the overarching reason why you're doing what you're doing, it's easier to stay the course. Am I being clear about that? Let me see what. Um, Namaste, Nakapan. Many thanks for always inspiring and empowering us through your SR journey. Truly impactful. Thank you very much. Again, I just put it out there to see if other people would benefit. So thank you. I'm glad it's helping you. Uh, Corn is depression, and depression because of corn, pure evil. We are better than this. Yeah, I gotta agree with you there. And that's the thing that I'm saying about it is like all the feelings of guilt and all those things. Like these things are because we're doing something we shouldn't be doing. It's crazy. It's an experiment, on people, and I didn't quite understand where it was going for me as a person because I'm 40. I'm gonna be 46 this year, so um, I remember that first time, like the massive guilt that I felt when I discovered this for myself, right? But that wasn't going to be the first time or last time I was ever going to do it, you know. And as I kind of grew up in this Western society, there were many things that were telling you that it was completely normal and b good for you, right? So I remember a movie that I watched in health class. It was called Am I Normal, about a kid who was masturbating consistently. And the it was one of those like film projectors, right? So you get like a big roll of film and you put it into a projector and it shoots a light. So it wasn't even like a video, it was like an old 70s version of 70s film. And was trying to dispel the fact that, oh, you're going to go blind or you're going to grow hair on your palms, all these things, funny things to tell you when you start masturbating, right? That, oh no, this is a normal thing, this is something you should be doing, don't be guilty, don't feel guilty, don't feel bad about it, it's a normal human thing and it's actually good for you. Because if you don't do that, then maybe you're likely to engage in sexual activity that might get people pregnant or something. So it was always something that would pull you into that direction. And then there were movies, for us growing up. I was watching all these high school movies, uh, American Pie, um, things that were almost celebrating the fact that you're doing embarrassing things, but they're good for you. Something about Mary, where I tell you to flog the dolphin before you go on a date, right? You got to do it, man, or else you're going to be all frustrated. And so you're surrounded by pop culture that is telling you that these things are okay. And so growing up, like I grew up before the internet. I remember America Online where we had dial up and we had to wait forever. And then we had chat rooms. And then pretty soon there was access to pornography. And we could do that through something like Napster, where you could download things and it would take so long to do it. And then sometimes it wouldn't be the video you're looking for or something like that. So, but fast forward like 10 years from there, you could just see whatever you want, whenever you wanted, categorized and things, right? And it was just easy to do. And so as the technology got better and better, I found myself more uh, just pulled into it, And now you're not don't have to download anything. You just access something on a website and you spend hours trying to find the right thing, right? So just imagine how much time you waste pursuing immediate pleasure and gratification. And so just imagine if you could direct that into some other area of your life that you're trying to seek a new accomplishment. So like I said, it's not like the magic pill that you need to do to be where you want to be in life. And I think that, life is a journey. It's not a destination. Like we're here to learn as much as we can. But I think that we would be much more fulfilled and much more, we learn a lot more because that's kind of like the idea of this time here that we have on earth. Right. So it would give you that time for that. And yes, exactly. Somebody wrote here baby steps. You got to baby step. It took me many years to really figure this out. And I haven't figured it out totally. That's why I'm on this channel, just to kind of share my experience with y'all. And just as much as you get motivation from what things that I'm saying, I'm also drawing from this group as well. So I really do appreciate everybody being on board and sharing your experiences and helping others here, because that's really what it's about. But I know the world is going to be better for it, for all of us. If we could purge ourselves from this vice. It's always there. It's always tempting. It's always knocking on your door, right? It's okay. Like take a look, take a peek, but once you do, like you're gonna pay for it again with your soul. So it's not worth it for me. And I would say that once you begin to find your why, do just go for as long as you can. This is not really like counting streaks so much. It's like, can I just avoid it? And how long can I do it? And perhaps maybe one day it'll stick and it'll just be forever. And for me, it's been, uh, I would say, almost over 5 years. 8 years since I've decided to really take it on. But it took me a few years to kind of figure it out for myself and figure that out. So yeah, somebody's remarking about my skin. It's glowing. Thank you very much. What is it for me? Maybe 118 days. I lost count on how many days this has been for me. But like I said, we're doing it for the entire year of 2026. I got a lot of goals that I want to achieve for myself, and I feel great. I know that we all hit like a flat line at some point, at least what people say on the Reddit forums. But you know, I always remember what it's like to go back to that time, and I never want to be there again. I felt very lethargic. I felt tired. I felt unmotivated. I felt anxious. I felt not very confident, even though I do martial arts, and that's kind of what we help to teach kids is confidence. Like, I just didn't feel that, and now I feel, for lack of a better word, I feel much more powerful in the sense that I'm in. I have power over myself and over the things that I do, not over others. Right? That's not the idea. I feel like I have power, and I can do what I want to do. So that's a reminder for me. I think back about how I used to feel. I don't want to feel like that, but I know what I feel like now, and I can only imagine where it's going to go. You know, later on as I progress through this journey with y'all. Um, so let's see here. I'm looking at this. I say what is why just to be able to have a wife and girlfriend, because I've been in the Huga culture, and every time when I would get into those type situations, my soul would just feel all right. Yeah, like so. If I hear you correctly, like just being disciplined, will give you these opportunities. And for those of you that are trying to find, significant others, I think it's a worthwhile approach to take senior retention on. And look, we've been talking a lot about corn, right? And you got to take it in steps, just like this person who commented here says. You got to take it in baby steps. And for me, it was trying to first abstain from watching corn, right? And then abstain from self pleasure, and then And then pretty soon now you can abstain from ejaculation, right? And then try to retain your seed. And so if you take it in steps rather than go from like everybody wants the shortcut, where like how can I get from point A to Z as fast as possible? And part of how you get to that point in your journey, instead of being the destination, right, to the point in your journey, right, is that you've gone through and made those mistakes. So for those of you that try and fail, that's how we learn. The failure shouldn't make you feel bad, and that's the ego kind of telling you that, right? You just got to leave your ego out of this and just realize that this is all learning opportunity. That's why we're here on this earth, right? They say this is this the classroom of life, and it's all about making mistakes, and hopefully those mistakes will galvanize your resolve in the direction you want to move in. So I got to take it in steps. Got to take it in steps. But for those of you that are jumping on board right away and being like, "Hey, I'm just going to go 90 days monk mode, no porn, no masturbation, no release," I think there's something to be said about that ability and and that commitment. And sometimes that's just the best way to be. When I gave up marijuana and I had to do that, I couldn't taper off. I couldn't just and caffeine. Those are two big things that I've given up in my life. I'm not saying you have to do that for you. But I would say that, you know, those types of vices, marijuana, nicotine in particular, can easily derail you because it brings your mind somewhere else. A lot of the times it makes things that are mundane a lot more exciting, things that are boring a lot more engaging, and so therefore your mind goes in different places, and you already feel like that euphoria. And you might as well, you know, go over the edge and really feel good because that's really what you're doing. You're chasing that dopamine, and those things really do affect your overall ability to conduct yourself correctly. So I highly recommend, if that's something you guys are still partaking in, DM me, let me know what's up, how I can help you this year as I get to June 19th, which also happens to be my wife's birthday. That's a holiday that they've named in the United States well, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I felt more recently, right? And my wife could tell you too, because she was like, that was always a day that she wanted to take off, was her birthday, and then now it's a national holiday. It's Emancipation Day. Ironically, for me, Emancipation Day just meant getting rid of all the vices in my life, and being thankful for the birth of my wife. So this coming Emancipation Day will be 8 years going on my ninth year of being emancipated from those vices that have really controlled my life. How does it feel after 6 months off being caffeine? Actually, it's just been a year now that I've been off of caffeine. If you guys see my short form content, I engage in a company that comes in and films everything in one day or for 1 month, and they just release things. So you might see things are kind of out of sequence. I think yesterday it said I was on 68 days of semen retention. Really, that was shot like months ago. So apologize for that. But yeah, for caffeine, I've been off caffeine for an entire year now, over a year, and I feel great. I feel great. I feel like when I sleep and I wake up, I feel refreshed. That's how you should feel, right? You shouldn't wake up and feel sleepy. You just slept. And last night I got the best sleep I've ever had in a long time. 8 hours of sleep. My problem with sleeping is my daughter sleeps in the bed with me sometimes, and she kicks and she turns and tosses, and so she wakes me up. But I'm a easy sleeper. I go right back to sleep. And so when I get up in the morning, that feeling I get of being refreshed just reminds me every day why I don't want to go back to caffeine. I've tried to drink some decaf here and there. I enjoy some decaf. It does affect my stomach in a way that I never thought would affect it, because I know later in life, as you begin to drink a lot of caffeine, it's very acidic, and people complain that it affects their stomach. And so that's beginning to affect my stomach. So therefore, like, I don't even want to drink that as much. I love the smell of coffee. I just don't want to drink it anymore. I don't feel the need to do it. I feel more productive in that my mind is not as scattered. I felt as though I was extremely productive on caffeine, but really I was doing this, I was doing that, I was over here, I was stopping doing this. So I couldn't really focus on one thing for a long period of time. Some would also say that's maybe the effect of social media on our minds, and the way that we're now being, our concentrations being broken every other minute by notifications, right? Speaking of which, let me just make sure that I turn mine off. Look at that. Never, just so that we don't get interrupted. but I feel like I can focus for much longer periods of time on one task, and therefore I feel like that focus moves me faster in the direction I want when it comes to accomplishing my overall goals with everything in life. So I think caffeine is kind of borrowing energy from the future because I would always remember like a feeling like I'm tired and then needing that boost. Now, for me, I was abusing caffeine pretty much for 20 years of my life. I remember first getting started, drinking a little cup here and there, and then getting an espresso machine. And those espresso machines that I used to get, I'm sure they wreaked havoc on my endocrine system, right? Because there used to be the Nespresso pods, where you get like that. It's got like a foil filter on top with a plastic cup, and then when you imagine running hot water through that plastic and then drinking it afterward. I did that for many many years, and then I became like a coffee snob where I would grind my own beans and roast and then basically like brew it myself. And then of course if there's a book that you might want to get and read to help you get off caffeine, it's a book called Caffeine Blues. It's almost scary. I didn't read the whole book. I got like some. I listened to a lot of the YouTube and audiobooks. Sometimes I don't have as much time to read, so I listen to audiobooks. But what it was telling me was that uh, coffee beans are one of the most pesticide-ridden crops out there. So they basically just like bombard it with a whole bunch of pesticides. And if you get organic coffee, there's still some pesticide in it. So you do have to be very selective over where you get your coffee. And as much as I was drinking it, I'm sure I was ingesting all kinds of different chemicals and things into my body that I wouldn't normally consume. So um, as much as this is a socially acceptable drug, caffeine, and of course, having a cup of coffee and a conversation with somebody that's always enjoyable, but you find other ways to do that. Like, for instance, I've already had my tea today. You can even see the teacup there. Rooibos tea has been a game changer for me. I discovered it when I went to South Africa. It is delicious tea, has no caffeine in it. You can drink as much as you want. It's actually good for you, good for your circulatory system, good for your kidneys. And so I want to drink things that are benefiting me, have antioxidants that are improving my life. Whereas sometimes, caffeine, they're going to tell you things like, oh, it reduces dementia, it does certain things. Like, you also have to be aware that the coffee lobby, the coffee industry is a very huge one. And they're going to be, of course, financing the studies that benefit them the most. But it is one of the most highly consumed products, especially in the United States. Everybody wants their coffee. So you have to be careful with that. Now, I never got into caffeinated, let's say, energy drinks. They just don't agree with me. So I would try to get into Red Bull years ago when Red Bull was coming out and being popular. I remember seeing it in Thailand as something that was people would drink pretty often. But I drank a Red Bull and it would just give me a headache like immediately. I don't know what it was. Maybe it's the artificialness, the taurine or whatever they put into it. But I never really got into caffeinated energy drinks. But I see a lot of people drink them. So I can only imagine if you don't drink coffee, you might drink these caffeinated drinks and they have a lot more caffeine. And I'm very sensitive to caffeine. And I didn't realize that even though I was drinking like 6 to 8 double espressos every day, I didn't realize how much it was affecting my life or how sensitive I was to it until after I got off. You know, um, 20 years ago, also, I was taking this GNC multivitamin supplement. It was called like the men's like sport support. And I would feel like my heart bumping, like thumping very rapidly. Come to find that it had several hundred milligrams of caffeine in it too. After drinking a cup of coffee, now I'm having more caffeine, and so therefore, it's in everything, and you have to be very careful about it. It's in soft drinks like Coca Cola, Pepsi, and it's because it's highly addictive, and gives you a little boost, and so therefore you have to kind of be very selective over what you're consuming, um, if you're trying to get rid of that. So but yeah, so you do have to be careful. Everything is an industry. Everything is trying to make money. This is where people would say money is the root of all evils because that's become our religion. That's become God to us, right? If we can amass more money, then we're willing to give up anything, including our morals and guiding principles. So just be careful about that. And this is where I find that going on this journey is a spiritual journey, whether you believe in God, a higher spirit, whatever it is, it's spiritual for yourself because it'll actually make you think. It'll make you be more introspective. It'll make you be more selective. And kind of taking it back to what we were talking about before, finding a wife and a girlfriend or whatever, the discipline of seeing intention is going to help you find the right partner. I truly believe that because you're not going to treat sex as a currency anymore, right? You're not willing to the thirst traps are not, or you understand what they are, and that's exactly what they are. They're just traps. They're just ways of using a woman using their assets, so to speak, to attract what they want. And I'm not saying they're evil. I have a daughter. I love my wife. Saying is that if society tells you that's how you're going to find a man, not really develop anything else, your personal characteristics, your character traits, developing you who you are as a person, then then that can happen. But if you're a man who is going to be very protective of your essence, of your seed, you're not willing to put up with a partner that is not going to be a good partner, right? You're going to find somebody who actually offers more than just physical attraction, sexual satisfaction. That can be that's not, I'm not saying that's doesn't need to be there. I mean, being an attractive, that's part of what like kind of brings you there, right? You're attracted to this person, and but what I'm saying is it can be more than just physical. It can be more than just surface. It can be how this person carries himself, how they love other people, how they love you, how they love one another. How who they are as a person because of the skills, activities, things that they pursued in their life, right? More them as a person and not as a object, which is kind of what the world, at least the Western world, makes us think. So you will be a man of discipline. You'll be a man of power because now you're not going to be weak. You won't succumb to that temptation. And it's always going to be there. It's always going to be there because I find that some women that if how they define themselves is through their physical attractiveness and you're not attracted to them, then something's wrong with you. And they want it to be about you is the problem and not them. And really the problem is the way society is. It's nothing wrong with, the people, so to speak. But maybe it's just a problem with the way that we think. So therefore that can really change your perspective. And I've seen a lot of downfall of many powerful men and many people at the end of the day because of this type of temptation. They came from nothing, they rose up and they became successful, and then pretty soon all of the opposite sex comes out because they want to be attached to that success, and so therefore they make the mistake. Infidelity, adultery, these types of things happen because you're at the top and you didn't have that discipline that you needed to take it to the next level. And I think that this is really where we need to strengthen ourselves, and this is where I find value in it. And I'm, of course, in a world of that temptation all the time. I have a martial arts academy here in Washington D.C., and people start, they get in good shape, they become attractive. Their mindset changes now too because, oh, now I'm good looking, or I look better, so now I can uh, cast a wider net, and then now it becomes a different type of place. But so that's why I released a video a couple days ago on my shorts about not dating your students. I think that's really important for instructors because at the time when you have a school, or even if you're in a position of power, right, you have that rock star status. Just imagine a rock star, a celebrity. Like now you have this power to attract more, but then when they actually get with you, you're not as cool as they think you are after they spent a lot of time with you. And so therefore it becomes, something else. So anyway, yep. I'm happy to help as best I can. Thank you for helping each other here on this channel. If it's really helping you out, just make sure you like, subscribe to the channel. I'm here every Wednesday at 10 o'clock. I try to, even last week I was traveling, so we had to do it a little bit earlier. But I'm glad that you all can join, and we can all share this together. For me, this is going to be the start of my next camp. As you know, part of my SR, my semen retention journey, is to become the Triple Crown champion. That is a champion in three different sports: Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, Kudo, and Judo in the over 45 division. And that's why I'm sharing this experience with you, is so we can chase greatness together. So I was starting my next camp for 8 weeks. My next fight will be on my birthday, or at least the weigh-in will be on my birthday, June 12th, where I turn 46 years old, fighting in the businessman class. There's some former UFC champions, former UFC veterans, I should say, that are fighting there. So it's going to be quite the test. And so therefore, I believe that my practice of semen retention is going to give me the edge that I need over others who are not willing to make that decision for themselves. Okay, I wouldn't say sacrifice. I was about to say that word, but I don't think it's a sacrifice. I think it's a way of life. I think it is just a way for you to really tap into the hidden potential inside yourself and make this place better. And I don't see it as a sacrifice at all. I see it as a great gift. And you should see the last video I posted in the shorts. Quickly, just again, it's off timing. It says I'm 68 days into it, and there are a lot of people that get on there and be like, "Hey, I think this is placebo," and the word they use the word "think." I think this is placebo. Well, you can know. You can know if it's placebo, or you can know that it is not placebo. The only thing you have to do is be willing to take on that journey for yourself. And for those that are on the fence about it, I would say give it 90 days. Go monk mode for 90 days. Don't watch corn. Don't masturbate. Don't spill your seed for 90 days. And if you can do that, then you'll know for yourself. But in addition to doing this, there's not a magic bullet. You won't be a millionaire, uh, but you will have more time to do things. You will have time to dedicate to projects that will further your life and work towards achievement. And on top of that, you should be able to stack on a bunch of other positive habits. For me, it was giving up marijuana, giving up caffeine, giving up nicotine, stop eating so much sugar, really eating a healthy diet. And I think all these things kind of stack on themselves and help to really commit to the practice, because you know how good you can feel, and you know how good things can be, and that bliss that you feel, that thing is that it's real, man. Like, I was on when I was driving. I was on Turks and Caicos. I was on the island. I was driving myself, coming from jujitsu practice. I always try to find a jujitsu school every time I go somewhere, or a martial arts school in general. So they had a jujitsu school, Turks and Caicos Jiu-Jitsu. Go check it out if you hadn't had a chance when you go visit. Great school. But they were closed that day. They were closed on a Sunday. It was 8 p.m. and they close early. It's kind of island life. It's kind of life that I both can get with, but also not, because I wanted to really practice, but I couldn't get there. And I get it. It was like, it was late. But I was driving back, and even though I didn't get a chance to get on the mat and sweat and do what I wanted to do, I still felt very grateful. I felt gratitude. I found talking to myself. I was like, I'm so grateful for this opportunity, to be here and to learn and to have these experiences. I didn't even know who I was talking to, whether it was myself or higher being or whatever it was. I was just like, man, I feel so blessed. So um, I'm happy to share that with everybody. And the world is crazy right now, guys. Like, there's a lot of people that are going through a lot of things, and a lot of it is because of the United States. We're not the good guys anymore. It seems like. I wish we could be, and we still can be. And perhaps maybe this is something that can lead us to there. But you know, just be grateful for the experiences and the opportunities that you have. I know a lot of people feel sad or depressed or this and that, but really, this is something that we should celebrate. Like, we have life. You have the world. Everything's at your fingertips. All you have to do is just focus yourself and get there. Whatever you want. I myself, I lived in a house, not even a house, I can say a condo, a one-bedroom condo. I was raised with my grandparents. My parents divorced when I was less than a year old. I started living with my grandparents, and I slept on the floor for 16 years, next to my mom, next to my grandmother's bed, on the floor on like two blankets. And I always thought, like, how can I improve my situation, and make my family proud, and take care of them, and this country has allowed me to do that. It's a place where, if you really work hard and put all of yourself into something that you can make it happen. I know, look, life is hard right now, especially inflation's up. It's hard to get by in life. There's all these reasons why you want to give up, but you shouldn't give up, especially the younger generation. Those of you that are just getting out of college right now or universities, there is opportunity out there. You just have to find it. It may be harder to find than when I was your age, but it's still out there. There's still opportunity. So don't give up on that. Don't give up on this place. Just make this place better. Do the best you can to help others. Don't push people down. Don't punch down. Like pull people up. That's really where we got to be in life, and that's what's going to make this place better. And the more that we can take care of each other, the better the place is going to be. Okay. So I believe in this place. I believe in the youth. I know that it's easy to get demoralized. One thing I will say in Turks and Caicos, I'm not meaning to sling any bad press to them, but a lot of times when I was in places, I know they have a tourist economy, and a lot of people are forced to work and to deal with these tourists. And some of these tourists, hopefully not me, are very hard to deal with. The Karens of the world. I don't know what the male version of the Karen is, but like complaining over nothing, and they just not having good situation because like you're having to work this job you don't want to work. uh, and everybody was just so, it just seemed like they were upset. They just didn't. I felt bad because I was like, man, maybe I'm making this person's day bad just because I'm over here trying to get a sandwich or something. But um, I don't want to live in a world like that. And I think that there is something more to that for us here, uh, particularly in the United States. Okay, so as bad as things are right now, there's still opportunity. There's still ways to find what you're looking for. And if you're not happy with where you're at in life and what you're doing, then you got to find the way. Find the way. No one's going to give it to you, right? No one's going to hand it to you. Because if that was the case, then we'd all be out of the situation together, including myself. I'm not saying that I'm there already. I face challenges every day. And So it's really about the right attitude and really wanting to improve your situation, right? Or else we can just kind of be how we are in Turks and Caicos and just wait tables and throw stuff on there and just be like, I don't want to be here. And if you don't want to be here, you got to find your way. Okay. And I know there's a way for everybody. So I do want to thank everybody for joining me on this feed, on the live stream. I will be here again next week at the same time. If y'all need anything, again, please like, subscribe to the channel, do the best you can to spread the word to others. I know it's hard because people will automatically think you're a crazy person, but I think people are crazy not to try this because, man, like I feel so good, and I want everybody to feel good too, right? It'd be one thing to kind of like if you had the secret to like keep it from other people. Like I can't. No, I think this place is going to be much better if everybody discovered this for themselves. But that's the thing, you have to discover it for yourself. There's nobody that can tell you. Bruce Lee would say, you have to be the pointer of the way. Be the pointer of the way. There's a lot of wisdom to that movie, Enter the Dragon. If you haven't seen that yet, so 1973, it's Bruce Lee's last movie he shot before he died. I know Game of Death came out after he died, and he shot that before Enter the Dragon. Some people would argue with you, but Enter the Dragon, one of the best movies of all time, full of wisdom, full of ancient wisdom. And one thing he would say, he was telling his student, he goes, it is like a finger. I'm not even gonna say pointing the way to the moon, right? The feeling. And so it's like the wisdom is there, but then the guy's focused on the finger. He's like, don't concentrate on the finger or you miss all that heavenly glory, right? Don't concentrate on the person. No one person can bring you to the promised land. It's got to be yourself. And I can only be a pointer of the way. You can be the pointer of the way. Okay. So just point the way for others and we're going to be fine here. I see your day 75 checking in. Congratulations. Just keep on going, guys. We're going strong on this channel. The warriors here. I'm so proud of us. Let's keep on going. Okay. And for those of you that need something to put your energy into, I have martial arts courses here. I believe martial arts is a great vehicle for personal development, personal change. So look in link in the description below. You can get that. Some different courses on there. All that stuff helps to really support my journey in becoming the Triple Crown champion. Also, I would say for those of you that are looking to get into better shape, to eat better nutrition, as I was talking about in this video about feeling great on having a great diet, you can have a free AI prompt. As much as I hate AI, it's down there in the description below. You can just get that down there, and it'll help you kind of plan your meals, and it's totally free, and you just tell it what you eat every day and what your goals are, and it will get you to eat the way that you need to get there. So hopefully that'll help you out, and we can all chase greatness together. So thank you all for joining me today, and I'll see you on the next one.